So welcome back, everybody. It's so nice to see you after our summer away.
Good to see all of you.
We're going to go ahead and get started, and then I'll talk a little bit about the setup of the class, but we're going to start with our opening prayer that Rabbi is going to lead.
What is this, Sam? Is this her? Right here?
No.
So we hope you'll join together with me, even though it might sound like a cacophony, but that's okay.
Julia, we have to mute everybody.
Oh, so you don't want them saying it with me?
Well, you've got a lot of background noise.
Well, then make
Okay.
sure you're saying it at your own location also, so I know that you're saying it with us. Baruch. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanim b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
You take a look at it.
Amen.
No, just them over here. Here they are.
Thank you. We did that. So as I said, welcome back. It's so nice to see you. And it's sort of, we're coming up on Rosh Hashanah now. There's maybe a little urgency. You get that feeling that the holidays are coming. And I kind of feel like that with this, the first class of our last year, that even though we have still some time to go before convention, now is like our last push. So what we wanted to do tonight was invite our Women's League leadership on. We've been doing a lot of planning this summer to get things set both for the curriculum for this year and for the ceremony at convention. So we wanted to spend some time talking about that tonight. We do have Ellen and I have some teaching if we get to it, but if not, that can wait too. So we're going to have Rabbi Ellen. She's going to talk about the structure of the ceremony at convention. We sent out that survey earlier in the summer, so we really appreciate your responses to that. And we're going to keep asking you because we know that things might change with COVID. And so some of you who weren't planning on going might go and vice versa, although we hope that's not the case. And then we have Debbie Goldich on tonight. She's going to talk about how the ceremony fits in to convention in general and some more general things about the bat mitzvah at convention. Rabbi Sella is on tonight and Toby Holtzman are on, and they're both going to talk about how they're going to help you through this year in their respective parts. So we're going to start with Rabbi Ellen. And also we want to hear your questions. So please, anything that you don't understand, you're not clear on, or you've just been wondering about over the summer, we'll take time for that too. So Rabbi.
Hello, thank you. Erev Tov to everybody. Good evening. It's so good to see so many of you. I know we heard that some of the people weren't able to come today, but I'm sure we'll listen to the recording, and everyone who's here is fantastic to be able to see you. Mazel tov to you, because this is a huge accomplishment. It's hard to believe that 2 years of learning have completed already. How could it be the third year? It's amazing. But just think about how many times you've been together, how many hours you've learned together. It's a huge accomplishment. And it doesn't matter if you didn't do this at 12 or 13. The idea of a bat mitzvah is the daughter of a woman of mitzvot. And honestly, excuse me for saying, a 12 or 13-year-old really know about the meaning of what a mitzvah is. A mitzvah isn't just a good deed, it's an obligation. And all of you living a lifetime know what it means to really accept this mitzvah, the Ol Malchut Shamayim, the yoke of the commandments, and what a chiyuv is, what an obligation is. All of you probably have balanced things all of your life and continue to balance every single day what you do. And that's what we do with our mitzvot. We balance it to figure out how we can live our Jewish life as a modern American woman, a modern American meaning North American woman, not just the United States, but North America. And it's truly fantastic that you're now making this sign in the community. What does a bat mitzvah do? It really is a sign of a completion of study. And of course, it's a continuation of study afterwards, that you get to mark your learning, that everyone could acknowledge you. So how wonderful that your Women's League sisters will be able to acknowledge all of your learning and your accomplishments that you have taken place and that you have done. So I want to thank you for giving us that opportunity to shep nachas, because you have all made this jump to study at this point in your life, to make this connection with God, Torah, and Israel. So at the bat mitzvah, you will receive, I'm sure, lots of accolades, but even beforehand, you have received a gift of learning. But also, if you haven't yet, please tell us. Dana, yours was returned. Hopefully you got Rehearsal's message today and you gave her your correct address. But the copy of the Siddur that we're going to use at convention, your own personal copy that you can mark up and make your notes of what you want. It's yours now to study. We're not going to do the full shachrit because that would be a very long service. Not many services lately do all of that. But what we are going to do is make sure that each one of you can lead a part of the service. And it's going to be wonderful to be able to have all of you lead us in prayer. So we're going to have different parts of the service, perhaps have parts of the service where you're going to reflect a little bit and have some writings that we could share, not at that moment, but ahead of time. And our hope is that many of you will be in person at convention. I really hope that you are. If you're not going to be on at convention, this part of the service will be live streamed. So as a group, those women who will be there will have an aliyah together to go up to be recognized, to say the blessings, which you'll all learn and all how to know how to chant. And then there'll be another bracha, which we know that cacophony of singing sometimes, but you'll have a aliyah being called to the Torah to say the blessings at home, a group of you as well. We won't be together, but on various screens like we are now. And we're hoping that each of you will also take this incredible opportunity that many of us have never had to study Trope. So Trope, you'll learn, is the way that we sing the Torah portion. You'll both learn all the notes. If you ever notice, there's like little lines and squirrels, and Rabbi Sella will teach you all of that on how to sing. And each of you, God willing, will take one verse and read from the Torah, perhaps two. You might say, those who might be coming to services often, there's often not a lot of verses. Well, we're going to have more aliyot than usual. So when I did all the research, we're going to have a very unique Monday morning service. We're going to have each of you, God willing, who are there, read one or two verses. And how are you going to do that? Because we're going to be switching all the time. We're going to have a chief pointer. And Rabbi Sella will be standing there pointing the words to you. She's not going to tell you the words, that you have to know. But if you happen to forget at some moment, we've all had that moments where we forget something. She's going to help you find those words. So don't tell your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, because at their bar bat mitzvah at 12 or 13, when they're really young to be doing it, they won't have someone there pointing to helping them. But you know what? We're going to have you helping and pointing, but she's really just pointing. She's not going to be telling you the words. If you want to know my own personal opinion also, I think 12 or 13 is much too young for a girl to have her bat mitzvah, because that poor girl, if she starts menstruating that day, I've had those bat mitzvah girls who turn to me, say, oh my God, I can't believe today was the day. So I don't think that'll happen to us, but you never know. But that's okay. It's a sign of maturity. And we all mature at different times. We all learn at different times. And you also, I hope you're telling everyone in your communities about this, because you all are such role models for everyone. There's a lot of things in my life I've never learned to do. I do lane, but I don't love laning. My bat mitzvah haftorah, when I did it at 12 and didn't really hated doing it, I have not sung a full haftorah since then, but one day I will. But some of the things that 12 or 13-year-olds have mastered, like riding a bike, still can't do that. So no matter what age you are, you can learn. And I am thrilled that you're all learning how to read Torah eventually, and also going up and leading parts of our service. So one thing I do want to tell you, I like to make this analogy. When I was a congregational rabbi and we had discussions in shul, I said, you all have to learn how to play nicely in the sandbox, meaning that there were certain people that always dominated the conversation. Like this one person, he always wanted to speak like 15 million times. I said, you had your turn in the sandbox. You have to share. Now go to someone else. So we are going to have different parts of the service that people are going to be signing up to lead, but don't overdo it. That's a sign of modesty too. Don't think I can't do it, and don't think I could do everything. So make sure everyone gets a part, because we want to hear everyone's voices that day, and always to hear everyone's voices. And I think you guys are amazing and true role models to all of us. And it's really exciting to think that for 2 years you've been studying, and you're going to see the fruits of your learning come at convention. So if that's only my little part, hopefully I've excited you, gotten you, put it on your calendar, tell your family and friends too. And Julia, was there anything else you wanted me to touch
Do you
on?
want to talk about how it's going to work to lead the services from Zoom?
Oh, so in what way? So we're gonna be,
Well, that there people who are not at convention should still be signing up again. We asked you that in the
yes,
survey, but we're going to do it again. And we've identified certain parts of the service
that can be pre-recorded. That's what you're referring to. That can be pre-recorded, and we'll show you how to do it. It's not hard. We'll work on you, helping you pre-record it too, so that everyone has a part in the service. Like some things that are communal singing, that might not work as well. But other things like that you do by yourself will be amazing to be able to pre-record it and have that, so that everyone has the opportunity to do that. And
Rabbi, did you want to talk about also talit and tefillin?
yes. So Debbie, were you going to say something about that? No? Okay. So we're hoping that people, we have some recordings on our website already about tefillin. Of course, that's one of the things that, you know, when you take on the mitzvot, that's one of the mitzvot that you might do when you're a bar bat mitzvah. Many of us didn't grow up with that. It's my passion. I did research on tefillin. Michal bat Shaul, was Michal, the daughter of Saul, wore tefillin, and no one objected. So no matter how old you are or what age, and if you haven't, shouldn't object. If it's a mitzvah that you want to take on, it's fantastic. We can learn about it. That morning, Rabbi Sella will help you wrap, but even beforehand, we're going to practice wrapping if you want to. We're also going to, so you become familiar with the Monday morning service, which is very different than a Shabbat morning service. Very different. Yeah, it's very different. That we will be able to share some links, because places are still Zooming services, you know, some of the beauties of COVID, that we can still watch a morning service and see what goes on with that. And also those who have been going on Makom B'Yachad know that just this week we were talking about a talit. So a talit is a true, why do we wear it? As a reminder that God's mitzvot are around us. So what is a better day to do that than the day that you're marking your study of and for your bat mitzvah? So the tzitzit, the way they all add up together with the wrapping of how they go around, and the knots add up to 613. So two of the ways you could think about it when you wrap yourself with a talit that will become your own personal talit is that it's as if you're wrapping God's mitzvot around you, and it's like a virtual hug too. And it's a hug of all those people who perhaps it's a talit that you make yourself, that your family's given to you, a friend, something that's just special for you personally. If you want to learn more about making a talit, we could do that too. If you don't feel comfortable wearing a talit, I think at this point we have to see what each individual, we're not requiring it per se, but that is some of the learning that we'll be doing in the Makom B'Yachad, looking at the Tshuva, a paper from the law committee about whether or not a woman needs to wear a talit, or people need to wear a talit when they do a aliyah. But it's really something special to be able to do that, to show that you're part of the entire community together. So we'll be working on that beforehand, and that morning, Rabbi Sella will be also working with you the last minute to put on your talit and tefillin together.
And we're going to bring Rabbi Ellen back in for a class
Yes.
later in the year to do more teaching on talit and tefillin. So we have a little taste of it in this presentation, but more of the laws and the reason and why you would want to do it. I just shared with Debbie earlier tonight, it's my birthday on Rosh Hashanah, and my husband is getting me a set of tefillin.
That's so
that would
exciting.
be my-
Mazel tov.
I have a set that I've been wrapping with since all of you were going through this. I decided that I wanted to take on a mitzvah too. So back in February, when we did a worldwide wrap at our synagogue, I decided that I was going to take on that obligation too. But I've been using like a set that somebody gave my son for his, a passed on set from their family. It's probably not kosher, but anyway, now I'll have my own and it will become my own.
Mazel tov.
And
Very
I'm
exciting.
already ahead of you on that one. I did that one for a special birthday about 5 years ago. So at any
So you
rate, there
can
will
all
be a
join
built-in
us. And
time.
apparently there's a great place in New York that Rabbi was telling me about that is women friendly, because it's not so easy, I guess, to find
Yeah, did you get it already?
he ended up ordering it.
Okay.
So we couldn't go in person, but we'll see. We'll find someone to adjust the knots and
There
we'll get
will
to
be a
use it.
special built-in time that morning to put everything on. So just, it'll be aware that that is built into the time period. And it is a very special birthday present.
Great.
Happy birthday in
Geraldine.
advance.
Happy birthday to you. Okay, this is what I have to say. I looked briefly with the tefillin. They're kind of up there in prices. Some of them are ridiculously, I shouldn't say
Yes.
ridiculously. Some of them are very, very expensive. So, for someone who doesn't know about this, I don't want it to fall apart like just there, but I don't want a car payment either.
No, right. They're definitely different various sizes and
Quality.
yeah, that's the word I'm asking. Quality. There's that size again. So but we can figure out because your hand went down and I lost you on my screen.
Oh,
but
wait.
we can find, there you are, you're right underneath Ellen on my screen. Okay, but there's ways to find affordable tefillin as well. If you're interested, we could look into that. Men's Club had been selling for a while. They stopped selling, and I actually referred them to the same store in Brooklyn, Hex, which was someone my family knew. And it's unusual for them to sell to women, but they do. So,
And I think too, if you're interested in wrapping at the convention, if you're
We'll have
there,
some.
we'll have sets there from the synagogue nearby. So don't feel like, if you want to try this and have it for that experience, we're not saying that you have to bring your own set or anything like that.
And Geraldine, I also want to suggest that I know my own rabbi ends up with many sets because after someone passes on, the wife, the family don't know what to do with the tefillin and they give them to my rabbi. And so I would check with your rabbi to see if maybe she has some extra sets sitting around that people have given her. And you might try to get a set that way. That would be a suggestion.
I'll check. Our rabbi is very new. So
Yes, I know.
I'll check.
I know.
right. I think
Okay.
Rabbi Grossman's, maybe
Yeah.
she would still be able to if she's still around.
Exactly.
I'll check. I'll shoot her a message.
I know
Thank you very much.
my rabbi leaves extra sets on the table in the morning during Shacharit so that if anybody doesn't bring theirs or they forget it or people want to start too late to fill in, they can use a set that's extra. So I would ask your rabbi.
Okay.
Denise.
Yeah, isn't it true that once we take on a mitzvah that we need to keep doing it? Like we can't just sporadically use it and then put it back or use it here and not use it there. Is that how it works?
This is true,
Okay.
but also for the Shem Chinuch, for the sake of education, you can also do it. So that's, for example, like the worldwide wrap, which is usually it's almost always on Super Bowl Sunday that the Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs started, and we partner with them now too. It's a way to teach people about tefillin. So this could be our own worldwide wrap, but definitely it is true that when you first take on a mitzvah, they say you do. But if you ask the majority of bar and bat mitzvah children if they continue wrapping their tefillin after their bar or bat mitzvah, a lot don't necessarily, not that that's a good thing, but it is the case sometimes.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm open to discussing any of this privately too, if anyone has any other questions.
All right, who's on next, Julia?
Okay, Debbie was going to talk
Debbie?
next. Thank you,
Okay.
Rabbi.
Thank you.
Okay. So it's nice to see all of you. I know so many of you. It's really wonderful that you're part of our inaugural class. I want to thank Rabbi Ellen, Rabbi Margie, and I see Toby there sitting in her beautiful background for being with us tonight and to share what you have to do with convention. Let me just say, we have been planning for this convention for the last 2 years. And it's not something that just happens a month before. Many of you are involved, Dana, as a vice chair of convention. And Faye's actually been convention chair. Carol's been convention chair. So you know all of the preparation that goes into this convention. And I want to say that the bat mitzvah program is going to be a centerpiece of this convention. And that just shows you how important this bat mitzvah is to convention, to Women's League, and to all of us who really wanted to see this happen. I will tell you that this is many years in the making, and I would like to give credit to Ellen Bresnick. For those of you who weren't on at the beginning, I don't know if you know, Ellen and I are sisters. And Ellen and I were sitting at convention in 2014 together, and in 2017 together on Monday morning. And in 2017, Ruth Addis of blessed memory, who was the sisterhood president in New Bedford, Massachusetts, who was 83 years old, got up and read Torah for the first time. Ellen turned to me and said, "Why don't we have an adult bat mitzvah? That woman's never had one." Because I know Ruth and I knew the backstory. And I said, "I don't know, let's see what we can do." Well, it took me being president and Ellen being co-education chair to make this happen. And Julia fell right in. And it's been something that's been in the works for a long time. And so we're very, very excited that we're finally getting to do this. Many times I get asked as president how I'm going to bring in the younger women. And I say, you know, I feel very strongly that that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is taking care of the women who didn't have the opportunity to be bat mitzvah or to learn to read Torah or to study because our movement was not egalitarian. And I feel very, very proud that we have done that in this administration, and our organization is really meeting the needs of women who didn't have that. I see Marion going like this. Marion, yes, I know, Marion. And so we're very proud of the fact that you all are showing the world what you can do. Very, very excited about this. So I do want to tell you that I don't want you to be nervous. I don't want you to be scared. We have set up so many fail-safe and so many things to help you be successful at your bat mitzvah. Rabbi Ellen talked a little bit about Rabbi Margie, who's going to be standing there next to you, so that if you get a little, you know, a few butterflies in your stomach or you forget a word, which, by the way, all of us who read Torah, it's happened to every one of us. I have a theory. I always say that when I read Torah and it's not perfect, it's God's way of making me want to do it again, so that the next time I get it perfect. And we all get butterflies. Even we could read regularly, we still get butterflies, we still make a mistake. But we've set up a lot of systems for you so that you will feel comfortable and you will feel safe. And if you make a mistake, that's okay. We'll still love you. But Rabbi Margie's going to be standing next to you and she's going to help you through it. So we've set up a system where on Monday morning before services, you'll come down, you need a little help. wrapping your tefillin because all of a sudden your mind is blank and you forgot how to do it, that's okay. We're going to have people there to help you and help you do that. If you forget the blessing before you put your talit on, don't worry. We're going to have people to come and help you. This is an organization of women, and we're here for you. And we're all very, very proud of what you're doing, and we want to help you be successful. So as I said, there's a lot of planning in place to make sure that you are successful. I've gotten a few questions about convention that I want to address. I know some of you are a little nervous about coming because of COVID, and I want to let you know that we have a medical task force in place consisting of our members of Women's League. We have 2 physicians and 3 nurses. And what our plan now is that everyone who comes through the door as they enter convention the first time will be tested. If you're positive, you either go home or isolated in a hotel room. Every speaker that will come in will get tested. There'll be nobody who will bring in COVID from the outside to a group that's already negative. We have plans for people who become COVID, they'll be isolated. We've taken this very seriously because of the demographics of our group. And we understand that it's a responsibility on our part to make sure that you are all safe. So if COVID is preventing you from coming, I want you to know that we're working very, very hard and diligently to make sure that you are all safe during the time that you are with us. I also want you to understand that we're trying very hard to make convention affordable to everyone. I know that I've been on this call before, and it's suggested that you ask for money from your rabbi's discretionary fund, ask for money from your sisterhood affiliate. If you're an individual member, ask for money from your region. I've personally spoken to the region presidents and told them that they need to subsidize their delegates, and they're planning to do that. But we have really worked very hard to keep the price of convention manageable. I won't use the word cheap because those of you who know kosher food is very expensive and the price has gone up. As you go to the grocery store to buy anything, you know that prices for food have gone up. The price has gone up between 10 and 15%. And of course, the price for kosher catering has gone up 10 to 15%. So food is very expensive, which is the bulk of the cost of our convention. But we are working very, very diligently to keep the price manageable. And so I want you to know that there are plenty of places to ask for money. And please don't be afraid to do that. If you have outside sources, outside grants, outside funding, and you need a letter from us, Rabbi and I can write something for you to request money. Many communities have funds where they fund their members to do certain things. And if that's where you would like to go and ask for money, we can write something so that we explain the purpose of the convention and your particular place there as a bat mitzvah person, as a bat mitzvah woman, so a candidate. So please feel free to ask us for some help. We can do that for you. The other thing I want to share with you is that every convention is very special because we have a social action project. Our goal with that project is that when we come to a community to be together, our goal is to leave that community better than we found it. Many of you remember that we went to Baltimore and we did Books for Baltimore, where we provided a book for every kindergarten, first grade, and second grade student in the public school system. Baltimore, the city of Baltimore is an underserved community, and many of those children didn't own a book. And it was the first book that they owned. We've done that in Las Vegas. We were there and we provided furniture for the outside veranda of the veterans' home. They didn't have any furniture on the outside veranda. And if you know Las Vegas, the temperature is such that they can sit outside all year long. So we provided outside furniture for the veterans' home in Las Vegas. And we've done many, many things like that in every community that we've been in. So you're wondering what we're going to do this time. Well, you might know that we call ourselves an international organization because we have members from all over the world. We have our sisters in Canada, we have our sisters in Israel, and most recently, over the last 2 years, we've connected with our sisters in the conservative movement in Uganda. and talk about underserved communities, right? So the Uganda conservative community, conservative Jewish community, has a midwifery center, and you'll love this. It's called the Shifra and Pua Center. And so if you aren't sure who Shifra and Pua are, they were the two midwives in Israel in Egypt that delivered baby Moses and delivered all of the other Jewish babies and the boys and tried to keep them safe. So it's called the Shifra and Pua Center. And what we've decided to do as a social action project is to donate money to that center to help them. Apparently it costs $10 in Uganda to deliver a baby safely. So we're asking each person who comes to convention, each woman and friends of Women's League, we have many men who are friends of Women's League, to donate at least $10 a person to ensure the safe delivery of a Jewish baby in Uganda.
Debbie,
Yes.
can you just explain why we're not doing something in the Chicagoland area?
Thank you.
this
Thank you.
year?
Okay, great. Thanks. So many of you remember that we had planned to have our convention in Schaumburg, Illinois, last time in 2020. And of course, we canceled our convention because of COVID. So we had a social action project in Schaumburg where many of you knit blankets for the Ark, and we did tote bags for the women who lived in shelters because they don't own suitcases and they carried their things in trash bags. So we created tote bags and knit blankets. And that project continued for 3 years, even though it was during COVID. Many of us sent our tote bags and our blankets to Edna Schrank and Rachel Ferber, who live in the Chicago area, and sent it to them, and they donated and they brought the boxes to the Ark and to the shelters. And so we felt that we did support the city of Schaumburg for 3 years with a project. Even though we didn't have convention, we still supported them with that project for 3 years. So we could have stayed in Schaumburg, but this was such a compelling project for us that we felt that this would be one time that we would reach outside of the boundaries of our organization and do something good for the world in another place. So thank you for reminding me to say that, Julia. Okay. I think unless anybody has any questions, I think we should move on to the next person.
So just two things I wanted to add on to what you said, and that was, often your bar bat mitzvah students or kids, they'll have some social action project for their bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, and so this is the social action project for convention, but we're hoping that all of you can make it your own too. And we can talk about that. You can talk about that amongst yourselves, or we'll put some time in the class to find out if there's some way that together as a Benot Mitzvah class that you can come together and come up with some ways to contribute to this project too.
So Julia, there's a in the chat, it says, can you put the link to the center? And Dana can probably help me with this, but let me just tell you that Uganda does not have great internet, and that when our women connect with us, oftentimes we see 10 or 12 of them sitting on the floor of the country store where there's internet, and they all sit with one cell phone. So they probably don't have a link. Dana, do you remember? I know we're going to be sending information about the center out, correct? But
yeah,
they
that's
don't.
what I wanted to say, that we're going to be starting the campaign in January. And we right now don't have the information organized for how you can make a contribution. But I'll look for an address so that you can look up and learn more about it.
Okay, thank you, Dana. And then if you could put that into the chat, okay? But there's no way to actually reach out to them. I don't believe they have a website. I think what we have is information about them.
I think they're on Facebook. I think
I was just going to say that they have a Facebook page
right.
under Shifra
yeah.
and Pua Project, I think it might be called, or Center.
Yeah, well, Dana's going to put that in for us. And so the other thing I do want to say, piggybacking on what Julia said is, you know, coming together. It's all about the money, folks, but coming together to donate that money. The other thing I want to remind you all is that we have a virtual journal, and the virtual journal is our biggest fundraiser for Women's League. The last virtual journal at the last convention, which was a virtual convention, raised almost $100,000. And that really helps to defray the cost of a lot of programming that we do through the year. So I would ask that you'll receive letters. Each one of you will receive a letter that says, please, you know, give us a list of your loved ones, your dear ones, your friends that we would like to solicit. And I hope that you'll fill that out. I hope that you'll give us a list. And then the virtual journal committee will send them a letter saying that we know you're very proud of your loved one who's going to be bat mitzvah at convention 2023. So we know that you'd like to put an ad in our virtual journal, and we hope that they will. And if you have never seen a virtual journal, it's a scroll that scrolls constantly with the ads and the names. And there are different levels of donation and different colors based on the level of donation, but it's in the side of the room and it just scrolls constantly. So when you're sitting there waiting for the program to begin, we turn it off when there are speakers so that it's not distracting for the program, but it rolls all the time. And you find yourself waiting for your ad. Oh, look, there's the one that my husband put in. And it's really wonderful to see it. So many sisterhoods put in an ad for their leadership. Many regions do that, and many synagogues and synagogue rabbis do that. So we hope that when you receive that letter, you'll fill it in and you'll put all your loved ones down, the name of your rabbi and your congregation and your loved ones, so that we can solicit them and they have an opportunity to tell us how proud they are of you.
Thank you, Debbie. And one other thing that I wanted to mention as kind of a, Debbie was talking about how we're setting you up for success, and we you know, it's going to be, I mean, we're all coming together after this long time in this long course, and how are we going to fit all these pieces together about the reading and the services and all that. We're hoping to set some time on Sunday for a rehearsal, so that we'll actually be able to run through the service. And how is it going to work? All the people who are reading Torah are going to line up. They're going to cross the bima, stand. Rabbi Sella is going to have the yad and point, and then you're going to move on, and the next person's going to come in. All of that needs to be choreographed. And so we're going to have some time set aside to be able to practice that. So
And
again,
we
we
have
don't want you to be
overplanned and
nervous.
overcovered this all summer. We've been talking about this. So really, do not worry about any of this. You know, you will all be fine. Julia and I, maybe not so much, but you all will be just fine.
Right.
So,
And we
And
have
Rabbi
some,
Sella has done this hundreds of times.
we've gone over it in our sleep. So,
and we also have, we have somebody else that's going to be helping us with all the choreography. So someone else that you can go to on that day. Like, you know, sometimes you have a day of event coordinator, you know, we're going to have that too at convention. So Denise.
Will we know ahead of time which part we're reading?
absolutely.
You
Okay.
will know
100
very
times
soon.
over.
Okay.
You will know
That's
so
what I
far
wanted
ahead
to-
of time, Denise, so far.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
No, you have a few type A people here. You'll be fine.
Excellent.
No, the Torah reading is really the first thing that we want to give out, because we know that it's going to take people time to learn it. So
Okay.
anything else on what we've covered so far?
I think Rabbi Sella was next.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
What a build-up, Rabbi. What a build-up, huh?
Right. Thank you all for the build-up. First of all, before I even say anything else, I have to say to all of you, you should be so excited about this opportunity. I mean, unlike a lot of women that are here, I did not have a bat mitzvah at age 12 or at age 13 for obvious reasons. I wasn't Jewish when I was a teenager. I had an adult bat mitzvah myself, and it was through a program that was set up through the sisterhood at my synagogue, a program where we had to take 3 years of classes, and at the end, I think there were 9 women in my class. We shared an adult bat mitzvah at a mincha service on a Saturday evening, and it was very, very exciting. So I hope that with all of the anticipation and the anxiety, you're also looking forward to this. You're feeling excited. You should feel excited. You should feel a sense of accomplishment, a sense of achievement. And everything you've heard so far about, don't be nervous. I want to assure you, you don't have to be nervous. I learned to read Torah actually before I had my bat mitzvah. I already knew how to read Hebrew. That's another very, very long story, but I already knew how to read Hebrew. So my rabbi at the time encouraged me to take a Torah reading class. And so I came into my bat mitzvah knowing how to read Torah. And I actually did not read Torah for my bat mitzvah because it was a mincha service. It was a short Torah reading. Some of the other women read. I had opportunities to read, and I have been reading for more years than I care to tell you. But I have also, in recent years, trained a number of bar and bat mitzvah students, ages 12 and 13, and of all ability levels. And let me tell you just about my most recent one, whose bat mitzvah was 2 weeks ago for Parshat Shoftim. I got her 3 months before the bat mitzvah because her previous teacher, it didn't work out very well. She came to our Hebrew school late. Her Hebrew ability was not very strong. And I chose, for various reasons, to teach her Torah instead of Haftorah. And in 3 months' time, she learned to read 2 aliyot from the Torah. So no matter what level you are at, you can do this. You can do this. And I want you to feel comfortable with that idea. I want you to feel excited about that. And that's what I'm going to be teaching you. And I'm excited to teach adults instead of kids for a change. It'll be really nice. So I'm going to be setting up a series of classes to teach, and yes, Denise and everyone else, you will know ahead of time what piece you will be reading. I will train you I'm going to teach you how to read Torah in general, but I will also teach you your specific part that you're going to do for the bat mitzvah. So in order to figure out how to set up the classes, and I'm going to have several classes. My goal is to have classes, have at least one in the evening, one in the daytime, one on Sunday, because I know you all have various schedules, and I want to try and make sure that there's something that everyone can attend. So I have put together a survey that will help me decide how to put you together in the classes. And after this evening, I'm going to ask Julia to send that out to all of you with an explanation. Regardless of what level you're at, please fill out the survey. I know there are some of you who already know how to read Torah, but you may want some brushing up, some extra reinforcement, whatever. Some of you don't know the first thing about it. So it's important that I have all that information so I know how to put you together in a class. But the goal is for anyone who wants to learn, I am here to teach you. And I want to encourage you, and I want to make it fun, and I want to make it a positive experience, and it will be. And I want to also mention, aside from the Torah reading, as it was mentioned earlier, I want to encourage you to consider the mitzvot of talit and tefillin as well. This was something also that I was a woman way ahead of her time. back in 1987, when not too many women were doing this, I took on the obligation for talit and tefillin. And it's, to me, it's just such a beautiful way to start each day. It absolutely is. And by the way, whether you're left-handed or right-handed, I can teach you. I happen to be left-handed myself, but I know I spent many years teaching bar and bat mitzvah kids. I'd be happy to teach you. So so that's the story. So please, when you get the link, when Julia sends out an email to you, please just click on the link and fill out the survey. It's very short. It'll take you 5 minutes, but it will help me decide what is the best way to set up the classes. So anybody have any questions?
Could you just talk a little bit, because people might not know about the difference between, say, your Torah reading and Aliyot on Shabbat versus the Torah reading that we're going to ask you all to do during convention?
Okay. Well, first of all, the Torah reading on Shabbat is a whole lot longer than a Torah reading that takes place at a weekday service. So it's a shorter reading that generally it takes place on at a weekday service. But in addition to that, you may notice it sounds different sometimes. For example, if you may have noticed when you sit in synagogue and you listen, the trope sounds different when someone does the Haftorah than when the Torah is read. It sounds different, right? In actuality, does anybody have any idea how many different series of tropes there are? Anybody know?
Isn't there about 6 or 7?
It's 6. You got it. You got it, Ruth. There are 6. There is one for Torah, regular Torah reading throughout the year, one for Haftorah, one for the Book of Esther, used only for the Book of Esther alone, one that is used exclusively for the Book of Eicha on Tisha B'Av, one that is used only on Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. On Pesach, it is used for Shir HaShirim. On Shavuot, it is used for the Book of Ruth, and on Sukkot, it is used for Kohelet. And then we have one trope which is used strictly for Torah reading on the high holidays. So if you go to synagogue on the high holidays and you listen to people reading the Torah, it will sound different to you than what you hear on Shabbat morning. It's a different trope. And indeed, when I was in rabbinical school, I don't know, Rabbi Ellen, what the requirement was when you were there. When I was there, we had to be able to do at least 4 of the 6 tropes before we could graduate from rabbinical school.
Yeah, we were tested on them.
Yes. So so what you will be learning is quote unquote normal Torah reading trope, which is what is used more than any other trope. It's used on Shabbat mornings throughout the year. It's used on weekday mornings throughout the year, which is why you will be reading on Monday morning. You're going to be using this trope. Again, depending on how many women we have sign up, each of you will get to do 1 or 2 verses of the reading. So again, we're not going to overburden you. We're not going to, ask you to do too much. We want you to feel comfortable we want you to feel excited and happy about this. We don't want it to make it something that's going to produce a lot of anxiety. And of course, if any of you want to learn more, I'd be happy to help you with that too. I'm always happy to help students who want to learn more.
The reading is shorter on the weekday than on Shabbat, and we're splitting up the verses even more to give everyone a chance to read at least 1 or 2 verses.
Yes.
Do you want to take some of the questions on the chat, because there seem to be
I'm looking right now. Okay, so is there a difference between Ashkenazi and Sephardi trope? Yes, but again, it depends. I mean, even between, yes, but even in Sephardi trope, there is a difference between Mizrahi trope, like the communities from the Middle East, as opposed to, I mean, years ago, I remember we had a gentleman in our congregation, I forget where he was from, but when he read Torah, it reminded me of the muezzin at the mosque, that you hear that wailing kind of sound, and that was the Torah trope that he learned. What I'm going to be teaching you is probably more Sephardi than Ashkenazi, in that the Hebrew that we will use, it will not be Shabbos, it's Shabbat, but it's one of the, there are several that are standard, and it's one that's fairly commonly used in many synagogues, so that you will be able to take it back to your own synagogue and read there if you master it. Yes. So let me see if there is another question.
Ruth, you had your hand up.
Okay. Yes, Ruth.
I can't sing. There's just no way I can sing.
Neither can I, so don't worry. Everyone can sing. Did you ever
Can
see
I please-
Ratatouille? Everyone
can
can
I
cook,
please
everyone can
interrupt?
sing.
I can't sing a lick. Okay, I don't sing out loud. I don't pray out loud because my voice is so bad I can't carry a tune, Ruth. But I can read Torah because it's just different. It's totally different. And the other thing about reading Torah is that you don't have to carry a tune. I cannot sing. If you sat next to me and I opened my mouth, you would move. Trust me.
No,
But-
because I sing bad.
But you can do this. You can do this, and you'll see when Rabbi Margie teaches you. You'll see how easy it is to just go from one word to the next word. It's not like you're carrying a tune. You're following a very specific recipe of notes.
Mhm.
It's chanting. It's
Let's
not
Chanting.
singing.
Exactly.
Let
And-
me tell you, just really quick, a funny story. As far as my singing ability, which is non-existent. Many years ago, I was sitting on a cantor search committee for my synagogue. And we did an in-person interview with one of the candidates. And he looked at the committee and he said, do people like to participate and sing along on Shabbat morning? And one of the committee members literally said to him, well, yes, but we have some people that I wish wouldn't sit so close to me when they sing. And then she looked right in my direction. I was mortified. But the fact is, that is absolutely 100% true. My singing ability is non-existent, but I can lane, I can read Torah. And if I can do it, you can do it. Absolutely.
Feel the same way.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. Rabbi Yellen, you wanted to say something?
That, as I think Debbie had alluded to this, there's no better place than a women's league organization, a women's league convention to read and lane, because we all are supportive of each other. We're a non-judgmental group. I think that's why we have 13 different Hebrew classes. People might be having Hebrew classes in their synagogues, but there's something really special when women sing together and read together and learn together, because we are a supportive, non-judgmental group. And I don't sing great either, that's for sure. And I didn't sing for a long time, but rabbinical school caused me to have to sing. But we're going to be proud of you no matter what. So sing off key. I can tell you my first bat mitzvah, my first tutor for Trope, he'd tell me to sing high. I sang low. He said low. I sang high. I don't know what he was talking about to this day. I'm not really sure. But it's okay, because we all are really going to kvel. Like we're all family. So
Also,
that's my
you
little
don't have
2 cents.
you don't have to know how to read music to
No.
learn how to read
Exactly.
Torah.
That's right. I cannot read music. But putting all that aside, and Sandy, I see your hand is raised. I'm going to get to you
And
next.
Carol too.
Putting all of that aside, and the women here who have read Torah I'm sure can attest to this. The feeling that you will have when you read that verse from the Sefer Torah for the first time is there is nothing in this world that compares to it. It is awesome. It is overwhelming. And that is what we want to provide for you. That's why we're doing this.
Also,
Okay.
another, before the questions, I
Yes.
just want to say another way that we're setting you up for success. We will be taking a photo of the Torah that you will be reading from at convention. So every Torah is written a little bit differently. The script looks a little bit different. And so sometimes, when you get up there, like, oh, that's not how I learned it. It breaks at a different line. No, you will see the exact reading that you will be reading at convention. You will have that image to learn from.
Mhm.
So that will
Yes.
be very helpful too.
Yes, great. Sandy, question?
Yes, will there be a chance for those of us who, at least like in my case, I can't commit right now totally to whether to go to convention or not. It will depend on where we are with COVID for me. Will there be a chance for us to participate even though we don't have in the class to learn the trope, even though we're not assigned a specific part, or will there be a separate class for that?
You want me to answer that?
What was the question?
The question was, what about people who want to learn trope but are not going to be reading at convention?
If we have enough people that fall into that category, I will set up a section for that as well. So again, please, this is why it's so important for me that everybody fills out the survey. So this way I can know what kind of interest is out there and how to set up the classes for you.
Sandy, were you also asking if there would be a part for you if you decided later to come to convention?
No, I mean, I understand that, I have to make a decision and I probably won't know until closer. So, I mean, I'm okay with that. But I mean, I have read Torah at Sisterhood Shabbat. But I mean, I haven't read it from the Torah. I read it from the Chumash. But, I've never learned trope. And once again, my voice isn't the greatest. So there are a few things that I have a tiny synagogue. So I've learned to do Ashrei and some of these and get called on there. But I would like to really learn trope. So, and I'm not expecting that anybody's going to change or do anything at the last minute, but I would just like to learn trope.
Absolutely. So please make sure you fill out the survey so I know. If anybody wants to learn, I certainly want to encourage that. Absolutely. Carol.
Okay, so just a couple of thoughts. Ruth, I was the one that they used to tell me not to sing, just to move my mouth. But I have to tell you that, first of all, it's an amazing experience. And I private chatted with Anne, just to give you a short little story. Anne and I both do not sing, but many years ago, I don't even remember how many years ago, the two of us decided at one region conference that we were going to do Birkat Hamazon together, and we practiced and we did it the following year. And it's the most amazing experience because everybody's sitting there just smiling and everybody wants you to succeed, and that's the feeling that you're going to get. So, and Debbie, there was one thing I wanted you for funds, if somebody wants to get to convention, also don't forget rabbis have discretionary funds, and because you're part of your affiliate and you're going to be bringing back ideas and information and everything, don't forget to ask your rabbis to help out too.
And also some cantors have discretionary funds too. So don't forget about them, especially if you are learning to read trope and you can be part of some of these things. You are offering something up to your synagogues as well. So don't forget about cantors and, see if there are any educational grants within your synagogue. Sometimes those are open-ended enough to cover some of these things as well, in addition to the rabbi's discretionary fund.
Yeah, thank you, Ellen, for bringing that up. Yeah, remember, if you learn the skill of Torah reading, you don't have to just read for convention and be done with it. It's a skill you can bring back to your synagogue and say to your rabbi, your cantor, or whoever, ritual director, whoever it is that coordinates the Torah readers, and say, I would like to read an Aliyah. Can you give me an assignment? So yeah, and that'll be awesome too. Marlene.
Thank you, Rabbi. I just wanted to thank you in advance for, and Julia and the whole, and Ellen and the whole educational team for having taken the initiative to plan on taking a picture of the scrolls, because that was something that Rabbi Ben Chadel did, our associate rabbi of 4 years, who's since left our congregation, because many of his first-time Torah students were going up, and even though we had tikkun sheets, we had pictures of the Hebrew without the trope and without the vowels. Of course, the scrolls and the crowns and the spacing on the page are unique, I guess, to the scribe or to the scroll or whatever. So that's a really wonderful thing that I'm really glad to hear that you're implementing. And the second question was, I was on the call via phone before I came on the Zoom. Did you say when and how the survey will be going out?
Yes, I will speak to Julia after this evening because she has all of your email addresses, and I'm going to ask her to send it out to you soon as possible. And as soon as you get it, it'll take you 5 minutes to fill it out and send
Okay, so
it
it's
back.
still coming. I didn't miss it. That was the question.
No,
Okay.
I really just finished putting it
worries. Thank
together
you.
about a half an hour before we got on tonight. So
Thank you so
yeah.
much.
I'd like to take credit and say that that idea of sending the copy was just now for the first time, but I've read it almost every convention over the last 5 or 6, and everybody has always done it for me.
Yeah.
So that's just Women's League, and it really gives you a sense of the way women at Women's League care for each other. This has been for a very long time that we've been doing this, and I know certainly Carol will vouch for this. Lisa Kogan did this, for a number of years, and we just always knew that this was coming. So thank you, Marlene, for the kudos, but it wasn't just us that started
and
it.
we also bring the Torah with us, and I think it's going to be in Rabbi Ellen's room. So if you want to take a look at the actual Torah, we can arrange for that also, for you to go and look at it. I want to say a word about the Torah that we read from. It's the Women's League Torah. It belongs to us. It is our Torah. It currently sits in the Ark at JTS, and we bring it to convention. Many, many years ago, we wrote the Torah, and the women of Women's League paid for a scribe to come. We all, sponsored a word, a verse, parsha, and it's our Torah. And we're very proud that we bring that Torah to convention and read from it.
Do you want to talk about why we wrote that Torah?
Yeah, there's a good story behind it.
Go ahead, Carol.
So this is a long time ago. It was Janet Tobin's synagogue in Great Neck, and they were practicing for Sisterhood Shabbat. So it'll tell you how long ago. And the rabbi didn't want them to touch the Torah, read from the Torah. And at that point, Janet had promised herself that if she ever became president, that was going to be a project so that we would have our own Torah. And in Sisterhood Shabbat, nobody could tell us that we can't touch it, can't read from it, whatever. So it was a Mitzvah Torah project. It was Philadelphia. I think it was 19, 20 years ago. Talked about an amazing convention, Monday morning service when we did it. We brought that Torah into the convention, to the plenum room for services. And we were just so proud of ourselves for having been able to do that, so that wherever we go, we bring our Torah with us.
We sure do. So, and we haven't decided if we're going to truck yet this year. We may have to bring it on an airplane and buy a seat for it.
Didn't we use a chuppah? Wasn't there like a chuppah over it?
Yes, we had. Yes, at that convention, and there was. It was such a thrilling experience, and same kind of experience we're all going to have together.
Corinne.
Debbie, if you buy a seat, you won't have to buy a kosher meal for the Torah.
Corinne.
I just wanted to say that I'm very emotional right now. I found this, I have never read Torah. I've never had the opportunity. I've never worn a tallis. I've never done any of that. And for me, this is like, I cannot find the words, and all I can say is that thank you for giving us the opportunity under Debbie and all the rest of you. Without you, we wouldn't have had this chance. And I am convinced I'll cry when I do it. But it's
Now
just
I'm going to start
I'm
crying.
getting the goose flesh. So thank you.
You know, I have to make one correction. Debbie said, Ruth Addis, she did read Torah for the first time, but she also put a talit on for the first time. And it was 2014, not 2017.
It was, I don't know,
It was
Ellen, I've
Las
sat next to you
Vegas.
for the last 5 conventions. I can't remember which one it was.
Okay. It was a very emotional scene. And I think I can appreciate what you're saying, Corinne, because, you know, we watched her get very emotional, first with putting the talit on and then doing the Torah reading. And it was immediate. You know, we needed to do something. What I was going to say before was, I think, you know, this is really a classic example of the sum is so much greater than the individual parts, because what you will get is more than just the bat mitzvah experience in a very quantitative way. You know, you read from the Torah, you maybe, you know, you daven this way, whatever it is. There's so much more spiritually, and it's a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about through these past 2 years. So the emotion is there. And even if you don't feel it right now, you will. There's something very wonderful. You know, when you go and you daven with women and many women in this kind of situation. And we knew as another safeguard, another whatever it is, that we would have plenty of women that would want to come down and help you, that will help you. You know, yes, Julia mentioned a formal rehearsal. Yes, we will have one. But if we stopped anybody and said, can you go over this with so-and-so, they would stop immediately and they would do it, because this is something, when one of us is successful and does something like this, we as a community all are successful, and we come together. I think those of us who attend Makom pretty regularly see that, so that, you know, this is something we want for you. It's very meaningful. Corinne, thank you. You're better than a shill in the audience when you talk about the emotions. We couldn't have planned it any better, but I think we're all feeling that. And, you know, we want you to, if there's any way at all, you know, to get you to convention for even this part of it, for something, you know, it's what we want for you, because you come out of it in a very different place than when you entered. Okay.
And what I want to say is, so we put out the survey. I sent the email this week, and, you know, asking who thought they would be in person and wanted to read Torah, but it's not too late. If you go back after tonight and you think, you know, I think I'm going to convention. I didn't say I wanted to learn how to read Torah or to read Torah at convention, but now I think I do. Let us know, because we're going to be giving out these verses soon, but not this week. You know, you have a little bit of time still to decide, and we'd like you to decide. But I also want to say, hang on, Lisa, or do you have something on the Torah reading?
I just wanted to ask, since if we already filled out the survey and we changed our mind about what we said, how do we convey it to you? Do you want us to just email you?
Yes.
Send an email.
Send an email. So what I wanted to say is, even if you don't want to read Torah at convention, if you're going to be in person or on Zoom, we would like you to take some role in the service. And that's why we asked Toby here tonight, because she's going to help you with all of that. On the survey, we went through prayer by prayer to identify with Rabbi Ellen, who's our Maradatra for convention and for Women's League, to figure out which prayers we were going to do at convention, which part of the morning service. And I know some of you had very specific prayers that you wanted to do. There were many prayers where in the morning service, again, as Debbie mentioned, we'll have links so you can see, but you should really try to see or to attend a morning service if you have not been to one. There are a lot of prayers where you say the first line of the prayer and then the last line of the prayer. And it doesn't have to be very melodic. There's specific tunes that we can tell you more about, but that's something that's very doable, and we want everybody to participate in that, either on Zoom or in person. And in fact, I think we're going to ask you to learn 2 different prayers so that you can be a backup. You know, if somebody gets to convention and has to quarantine, or you just change your mind at the last minute, you know, either you're going to go or not go, we're going to have backups for all of the prayers. And I'm going to turn it over to Toby to talk a little bit about how you can learn all these parts of the service.
Oh, it's my turn now. Wow.
Thank you for being patient, Toby.
No, it's been great hearing from everybody. And if some of what I say is repetitive, it's because I didn't know what anyone else was saying. And some is going to be, you may think, a little off topic, but I think it's important just to talk about the services. But what I did want to say, first of all, was mazel tov to all of you. This is so exciting. You should all be so proud of what you're going through. This will be the culmination of your 3 years of study. I was one of those girls who was lucky enough at 13 to have a bat mitzvah. And this past June, I read that same Haftorah for the first time in 60 years, celebrating it at my synagogue. And it was, you know, it was quite amazing and certainly more meaningful than when I was you know, going through all that 13-year-old stuff that 13-year-old girls go through. But before we start talking about the daily weekday Shacharit service, and maybe you've learned this in your class already, just briefly, there are 3 services that we do. Jews like to pray, you know, 3 times a day we have the opportunity, and there are several reasons why we do this. And there's a morning service, and they say that's because of Abraham. It says in Genesis 22:3, Abraham arose early in the morning. And then there's the Mincha service, that's for Isaac. Genesis 24:63 says, Isaac went out meditating in the field toward evening. And then you have your Ma'ariv service for Jacob. And that's Genesis 28:11, saying that he came to that place, you know where that place is, and stopped there for the night. Another thing is that they say that prayer services are a substitution for the sacrifices that used to be made in the temple. The morning prayers, Shacharit, and the afternoon prayers, Mincha, correspond to the morning and afternoon sacrifice. In the evening, there was no sacrifice, but we say that prayer because in the Shema, it says, you shall recite these words when you lie down at night, and that would be Ma'ariv, and when you rise up in the morning, and that's Shacharit. And that's why the Shema is said in the morning, and the evening service is not said at Mincha. I don't know if you ever noticed that. And Mincha is another service that we're going to be doing Sunday afternoon, I hope, Monday afternoon, and Tuesday afternoon at convention. And hopefully you can help out or attend that as well. I just want to say that my co-partner in crime is Debbie Lempert, who is going to be doing all of this stuff with me and helping you. She had a very important sisterhood, getting back to shul and sisterhood meeting this evening and couldn't be with us. We are the co-chair of Virtual Tefillot, which has been pretty busy these past 2.5 years with Makom B'Yachad. And I see so many of you who are regulars. That's fantastic. And then we are co-chair of Tefillot for convention, which is how we're involved with the service that you're going to be doing. So Shacharit, the daily morning service, might be the one that you're least familiar with. The daily morning service, not Shabbat, it's different. Don't worry, we are all here to help you with this part of your studies. And once you've been assigned your parts, it's based on your preferences, Debbie Lambert and I will work with you. You have received your blue Sim Shalom. What I want you to do is get really comfortable and familiar with it. Mark it up. So this is my weekday prayer service. I've been going to the daily Shachrit service since COVID started every Sunday through Friday. And I lead services a lot. I don't know if you can see all the tabs for all the different parts of the service. You'll know that on Makom B'Yachad, we lead Hallel when it's Rosh Chodesh. You wouldn't believe the pages in here for Hallel. It's so, oh my God, it's Hanukkah, let's do this too. Oh my God, it's Passover, let's do this too. So really feel free to use this as your personal roadmap for the service. If you know when you're assigned a part, if it helps you to put arrows going up and going down for tunes, you can do that. Someone said you don't need to read music. Okay, I lead lots of services. I even lead services for the High Holy Days. I cannot read a note of music. So do not let that be a barrier to any of you, please. Or having, you know, a good voice, since, as someone also said, so many of the prayers in Shachrit, you're going to say the first couple of words, then you're going to daven silently to yourself, and then you're going to finish up maybe a sentence at the very end. So it's really not daunting. I know that you all can do this. So Shachrit refers to the entire morning service as well as the part of the service. And it's broken up into different parts. Shachrit comes from the word shachar, which means sunrise. So the beginning of the service is what we call the warm-up when you're getting ready. Birkot HaShachar. These are the morning blessings or the blessings of the dawn. And these are blessings that we thank God for our very existence and our most basic needs. And this particular prayer, usually you say the whole thing. And we're going to help you with pronunciation, with the tune. Nusach comes a little later. With everything. So do not be intimidated by anything. You know, there's a first time for doing everything. It was actually, I don't know how many conventions ago, someone asked me to daven part of the Shachrit, the big Monday service. And I said, sure. I had never done it before. So I quickly spoke with my chazan, and he worked with me. And I don't know, 14, 12, however many years ago, I've been doing it ever since. That was the first time I did it in front of hundreds and hundreds of women, many, most whom I did not know. I know you can all do this. So we have Birchot HaShachar. Then that's followed by Psuke de Zimra. Most of us who are more familiar with it just call it Psuke. These are verses of praise. And this continues to get us in the mood for the main event. We go on, we continue to praise God before we begin our series of requests in the Amida. Towards the end of Pasuke, we recite Psalms, usually, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be doing for this service, but usually we recite Psalms 145 through 150, and I learned more recently than not that this is reciting 145 through 150 is a way of saying that we've recited all the Psalms 1 through 150. And maybe I learned that when I was doing some studying to teach a Psalm on Makom B'Yachad in the very beginning. So when we, near the end of Pasuke, we get to the Song of the Sea, and then we conclude this portion with the prayer Yishtabach. You will always be praised, we say to God. While it is the ending of Psuke, Yishtabach, it's really also the beginning of Shachrit, because it's at that point where the Nusach changes. I know you've heard this word a lot of times. Nusach is the musical modes for each of the services. Just like you have tropes for all the different things that you read, you have musical modes known as nusach for the services. So, for instance, if I'm singing this, da 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 da. Da 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 da. You might say, "Oh, that is the Amida for Shabbat," and you would be right. If I were to sing this, da 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 da, you might say, I could be at a weekday Shacharit service or at Mincha for the Amida, and you would be right. And if I sing this, da 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 da, that's coming up in less than 2 weeks. Oh my God, that is the nusach for the Yom Noraim, the High Holy Days Amida. So that's an example. So for your Shacharit service, the beginning that goes through Sukkah up until Yishtabach, the nusach is basically the same as the chanting of the Torah blessings, and it's repetitive over and over and over again, starting out with Birchot Hashachar. Da 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 da, and for most of the prayers, it's just that on and on and on. So you may be learning some new words for prayers, but it's going to be, for most of these things, the same melody over and over again. It'll be that melody for the first couple of words when you begin a prayer or a psalm. It'll be that melody when you get to the very end for that last sentence. When you get to Yishtabach, the nusach changes for the rest of the service except for that part of the Amida. And the Yishtabach goes like this. And even to this day, as I've been doing Shacharit for many years now, sometimes still in my head when I'm getting to another part, and if it doesn't come to me, I will go, Yishtabach Shimcha Lad Malkeinu, and that's what it is for most of the service of after the Pesuke, when you get to that part, da 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 da. You might think this is really hard, but I tell you, Debbie Lempert and I are going to help you. Yes, we are. So now we come to another part of the service, which is the Shema section and its blessings, and it begins with the Baruch Hu. That's the call to prayer. The Shema is 3 sections taken from the Torah. There's the Hero Israel, and then the first paragraph to command us to love God, etc. And then the second paragraph, we don't say that out loud because it has some bad things in there, and we don't want to talk about that out loud. And then the last paragraph, which tells you about tefillin and mezuzot. And then we conclude this section with the reminder of God's redemptive power. We come to the Amida. It has that other nusach, and this is how the Shacharit weekday Amida is different from the Shabbat Amida. During the Shacharit Amida, we ask for things. The first 3 blessings are the same on all the Amidot. The last 3 are the same. The middle 13 blessings, in Shacharit, we ask for stuff. We ask for wisdom. We ask for health. We ask for our prayers to be heard. We ask for peace and some other things as well. And that has a separate tune. I don't know who will be leading parts of that, how we'll be doing it. We will teach you whatever it is. There's going to be time set aside once you are given your portions, and Debbie and I will be working with you, not to worry about it. Now, because the service is on a Monday, and Monday and Thursday were market days, there's going to be a Torah portion. You're going to learn to read Torah from the wonderful Rabbi Sella. How exciting is that? I tell you, the first time I read Torah was like transformative for me. I almost thought I was having an out-of-body experience. Part of the reason was it was something that, you hear now they talk about representation. Well, I couldn't see it, so I couldn't believe it as I was growing up. And when I became 13, as I told my congregation when I celebrated my 60 years, that was the last time I stood on a bima until I joined Congregation Har Shalom many, many years later. And now you're all so fortunate to be able to do this, and you have wonderful role models to see how it's done. It's very, very exciting. And after the Torah service, we have Aleinu, we say Kaddish, a psalm for the day, and we're done. So, you know the story about the person who asks someone on the street, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? And the reply is, practice, practice, practice. So that's the best advice that I can give you, is once you're given your parts of the service, once you have a handle on your Torah reading, practice, 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 practice. Now, my congregation, Har Shalom in Potomac, Maryland, still does Shachrit on Zoom. Mondays and Thursdays, it's in person, but also on Zoom. But every day, Sunday through Friday, it's on Zoom, harshalom.org. You go there, it says to see services, there's a link. Then you go there, there's another one for the Shachrit Zoom, boom, you're there. A couple of days, you'll understand the choreography, what's going on. That's one option for you. I'm sure there are many more. Perhaps your synagogue also has one available for you to use. But anyway,
What time do you do
ours
it in
is
the
at
morning?
8 o'clock in the morning.
East Coast.
East Coast time, yes, Maryland time, 8 o'clock, which gives me time to get up, take care of my cats, get dressed, put on some makeup, because I'm never on the Zoom without that, and then be ready for all of you. So I would love to see some of you there. That would be really great. And basically, that's what I have to tell you about the service and how things are going to go. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. I'm sure Julia knows the answer to more questions than I do, but I just want to tell you that we're all in this together. We're really excited for what's going to happen. I'm like so excited for convention. I can't believe it, to finally see so many of my sisters who I've been, seeing in their little Hollywood Square boxes for the past 2.5 years. It will be 3 years. It will be more than 3 years by then. So we're all going to be really primed and pumped. And it's going to just be a wonderful, marvelous, excellent, exciting, fantastic experience for all of you.
Thank you, Toby.
You're welcome.
I just want to share too that the Siddur that you received is not just, a random Siddur that we chose because we thought it would be good for you to learn with, but that is the Siddur that we're going to be using at convention.
Right.
So, so that's why mark it up, flag, put Post-it flags in there for your section when you have it, and then remember to bring it with you at convention if you've made any notes.
Julia, when did it go out? Because I didn't receive one yet.
Yeah, we always have a little problems, as you know, going to Canada, but Corinne did get hers. Ruth, did you get yours? You haven't yet either. Okay, they're in the mail. I know that. Any other Canadians besides the three of you?
I wonder, Rehearsal was thinking perhaps that we would send it to your synagogue so that it might not have incurred that extra tariff.
So Corinne got hers.
And we'll ask Rehearsal when it
We'll
went
make
out.
sure, we'll find out.
And we'll find out.
Okay. Toby, are you going to contact them once parts are assigned? Or you want to talk to them about that?
Yes, we're going to have to.
Okay, so you'll do the outreach on that then.
Yes. And I'm putting my synagogue's URL in the chat right now.
And can I ask if there's anyone else, because I was, it comes from our office, besides Marion and Dana, you told Rehearsal your right address? Okay. And Ruth, did everybody else get their Siddur?
When did it go out, Rabbi? Do you know?
Yes,
Weeks
because we went to
ago.
Florida,
A
Carol.
week or two ago. Have you been back in Florida yet?
No, but we get our mail sent up to us every week.
Oh,
Okay.
will they send
I'll check
packages
when we get
too?
home.
Okay.
Is it only going to people? I'm sorry, Carol, go
No,
ahead.
it went to, it went to everyone in the class.
No, I didn't get
Laura,
it.
you haven't gotten it yet?
No, I don't think so. I'll check my packages, but I don't think so.
Anybody else not get it?
I don't think I got it either. I have to go check. Yeah.
Okay, it came in like a big white envelope. So, okay, anybody else? I'm making a list of these so we can. Okay.
So I
Okay.
just want to take a minute and go back to the Shifra and Pua Maternity Center. Dana put the link in and apparently the link doesn't work. But what I want to say is if you look at it on Facebook and you find it somewhere where the link does work, hold on, Eileen. Please do not donate to them directly. It's very important that you give your donations to us so we can give it collectively. That's part of the project. So I know that when you read about it, it's going to pull on your heartstrings. Please do not donate to them directly. Please, please, please work with us through convention. Okay. Dana, maybe next week or next month when you come back, you can, there'll be another link or we can get that to Ellen and Julia and they can send it out to everybody. And Eileen looks like she's got it. She's going like this, coming out of her square, Eileen.
I put a link in the chat and I just brought it up again and it brings you right to their page.
It's the right link?
Yeah, because what I
Great.
did is I brought it up and I just copied the link and put it in.
Perfect. Okay, so Eileen has the right link, but please, sometimes they'll ask you for money. Please do not donate directly to them. Please go through Women's League.
And
Okay.
we'll work something, Elisa put something in the chat, that you could bake and sell the challahs and donate that money. So there could be ways to make it more of a bat mitzvah project. And we can talk about that coming up. I know we're a little past time, so I wanted to thank all of our speakers tonight, Rabbi Ellen, Debbie, Rabbi Margie, and Toby for coming on and sharing all our planning and the details about convention. We just, this was almost like a kickoff meeting for this last year, and we wanted you to start getting excited because as we've been doing all this planning, we're getting really excited about it too. Next month, we have former Chancellor Ernie Eisen speaking to us about that we're sort of moving on to this unit on the conservative movement. We are going to bring in a chazan to talk to you more. I have a whole class on Nusach and Trope and how they came to be and why, all of that. So Rabbi Ellen's going to be doing a class, as we talked about, on Tali and Tefillin. And we have some other things. I sent you all the calendar, and you'll notice that we have all 4 weeks in June reserved for the bat mitzvah class. We don't know that we'll need all 4 of those, but if we needed time to practice before convention, we might take some of those days. So we wanted to get it on the Women's League calendar.
And there is one more part that we're not able to deal with tonight, which we will, and that involves writing a devar, either a devar Torah, devar tefillah, devar anything, haftarah. And we will come to that, but what we wanted you to do meanwhile was to get hold of a notebook, brand new notebook of some sort, something that you have lying around that has a lot of lined paper or whatever, or you can type this however you want to handle it. And we want you to be able to have a place where you can write down some of your thoughts as you're going through the process this year. And it may be that you have some thoughts that sort of came to mind tonight. We will, discuss all of this as we go on in the next class, again, because we didn't have time tonight, but, just to start you thinking about this, your emotions, your feelings, your spiritual connections, whatever, all right? This is the appropriate place as a journal to jot down some of these ideas. They can be as long or as short as you wish. There's no wrong way to do this except to not do it. So, just to kind of, that's your homework for next time, is to get that place worked out and maybe just jot down some of the thoughts and feelings that are going through the head, the heart, and the soul tonight.
Right, the idea is a little bit after each class, your impressions, and then also as we start to do more with the Devar, we're going to ask you to write down those thoughts as you're reading through the Torah reading that you're assigned, or the prayer that more likely the prayers, because we'll talk about the difference of Devar Torah, Devar Tefillah, but there's still time for that. So that.
And actually, I have to give a little plug. Tomorrow morning, I'm doing at Makom. I'm the one doing the parasha, and I'm actually beginning a little bit of this in Makom. So we'll repeat it again for regular bat mitzvah class, but it's a sort of a plug for that as well. We'll talk about some of that then. So thank you, everyone.
So for those of you, for those of you who don't get onto Makom B'Yachad, please join us Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's a wonderful opportunity. I think half of this class is on, and we really have bonded. We've studied together, we've prayed together, and it's a wonderful opportunity for all of you to really learn from Rabbi Margie, Rabbi Ellen, and from our own members. So Rabbi Ellen, can you put the link maybe in the chat? And if you, what?
What's the name of that group called again? I'm being smart.
Oh, Geraldine, I smack you upside the head. So I was like, what, is she serious? She's on every day.
You know, the last time you were at the bat mitzvah class, you invited us to come, and I've been coming ever since. So I had to.
Okay, so for those of you who have not come, we'd love to have you. It's a wonderful holy community, and you will learn a lot. We'd love to have you. So I think, Rabbi Ellen, were you going to put the link in the chat? And if you can't get it tonight, email any one of us. No, email Geraldine or call Geraldine, and she'll get it to you.
Yeah, call me.
Call me. So,
but it's in Women's League week every week.
It is. I'm getting it. I'm just a little slow on the.
It is.
On
it
the.
Oh, Ruth, you're just so sensible. You know, it is. It's in Women's League week. If you get Women's League week every week on Tuesday, the link is right there, and all you have to do is click on the link, and then you can just, spot it.
We haven't changed it in 2.5 years.
Nope. No,
but don't forget the numbers.
So our next class, just to give the date, is October 20th, after the holidays. So I'm sure I will see many of you again, but Shana Tova, a happy, healthy New Year.
Happy
I did get the survey from Rabbi Sella, so I'll be sending that out soon to everybody.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Finally got the link if anyone wants. Sorry.
You have it? Wait,
there it is.
There it is. Anybody just copy and paste it, or as Ruth told us, just look for it in Women's League week. Thank you, Ruth.
Or email each other, and one of you has it too.
No, call Geraldine.
6 o'clock in the morning.
4 o'clock in the morning, call Geraldine.
That's when Dad gets up to drink his little electrolyte stuff, so I will be up.
Gatorade.
Gatorade, that's what he drinks. It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you, everybody.
Shana Tova, everybody.
Thank you. Shana Tova. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shana Tova.